If you're looking to move to Colorado, this is the perfect place for you to start. In this video, I'm going to go over the ultimate beginner's guide to moving to Colorado, and this is going to cover everything from getting familiar with the state to where you can find certain types of neighborhoods and certain types of homes, areas that are going to be closer to the mountains versus areas that are going to be further away from the mountains. What are the major highways and how are those broken up? How the state is broken up into different sections, and go over some of the pros and cons of cities versus suburbs and so much more. So again, like I said, if you are even thinking about moving to Colorado, this is the perfect place to start. So with that being said, let's get right to it. So let's go ahead and start off with what I think will be the most helpful place for us to begin. And that is really diving into how the state is broken up overall, really what's considered Northern Colorado, what's considered Southern Colorado, and just some of the distinguishing factors between the two of them. So let's jump over here to our handy dandy map. I'm going to pull out the handy dandy marker for those of you guys who have not been out here before. Colorado is really built around Denver as being in the center of the state, which you guys could see here. If you've watched our channel for any period of time, you'll hear Will mention that Denver is right in the middle of the clock. Okay, this is the clock, all right? And we have Denver right smack dab here in the middle. What is considered Northern Colorado? Really, Northern Colorado is anything that's going to be north of Denver. Southern Colorado, I would say, is anything that is south of Denver with maybe a little bit of a gap here right in between. It's also broken up into east and west, all right? Now, a lot of people, they are looking to come out here and be close to the mountains. One very important thing that I like pointing out to you guys is that close to the mountains is going to be different for a lot of people. And some people say close to the mountains, they mean that they want to have good mountain views. When other people say they want to be close to the mountains, that means they want to be in the mountains. And that's some of what we're going to cover here today to start off. One thing that I think is really important for people to note about living in the Denver, Colorado area is that if you are anywhere in the metro area, let's call that Denver, let's call it Lakewood, and then we've got Littleton, that's a big one. We've got Highlands Ranch, all the way up to Broomfield, Superior even, Arvada, Wheat Ridge, all of these places here, with the exception of maybe a Superior and Broomfield, they're going to be fairly flat. Okay. That is one big thing that you guys are going to have to realize when moving out to Denver is that Denver isn't just sitting in the mountains by itself, right? Denver sits next to the mountains, but you're not necessarily going to be experiencing any sort of mountain living unless you decide to go ahead and move into the mountains. For example, over here, Highlands Ranch. Some of these homes, especially on the southwest side, they're going to have really good mountain views, as you guys can see in the drone shots right now. But if you look around, we're pretty much on flat land, and it kind of looks like any other suburban type of area as far as the terrain goes. Now, that would all change as soon as you would start crossing into the foothill region right here. So anywhere on this map, you see where it transitions to green. This is where it's starting to transition into mountains. So if, living in the mountains or experiencing some sort of really Colorado type of scenery, you're really going to want to get as far west as you possibly can. All right. Now, one great area here is up by Morrison and this Ken Carl area where there's just some beautiful red rock formations. You're also going to see that here in this Roxborough Park area on the southwest side. And then naturally, that is going to continue as we work our way up the Front Range up here into Boulder, and then even further north all the way up to Fort Collins. Now, to give you guys a little better perspective of what I mean by in the mountains, but not necessarily getting into the mountains, let's explore one of these areas so you guys can see really exactly what I'm talking about. So to give us some context right here, this is north and south right here. And then we've got 470, which I'll dive into, but this is really that tipping point for where you're coming, just normal kind of suburban living to, man, real fast, you're all of a sudden in the mountains here. So let me go ahead and zoom in here a touch. Now I'm going to face us west so that you guys can have a real good perspective of just how dramatic this change up is here, right? I'm going to turn this just a little bit, and then we're going to zoom in on some of these homes here. So right here, this is where we've got 470, which is this primary highway running right here. And on this side of town, it runs north and south. But as soon as we cross over into that, we're now going to start coming in between this little valley here, as we can see as we're flying in here. And then this is where you've got just some gorgeous homes that are tucked away here, literally just right in this valley. So you've got these mountain ranges here, the small mountain range that separates you from the highway. And then you've got a pocket of homes that are just surrounded by gorgeous Colorado scenery. Now, a lot of times when people are coming to the Denver area, they think that this is what all the homes are going to be like. But it's not. Whenever we're getting into these sort of areas, the way that I like to portray it to people is that this is the equivalent in Colorado to beachfront property. Right? There's limited places to build in the mountains because only so much of it is buildable. Oftentimes, it's where places and neighborhoods start developing first before they start building out away from the beach, or in this case, the mountains. But man, as you guys can see here, this is just absolutely stunning. So it's no wonder why so many people are looking for this in their Colorado experience when they're looking to relocate to the state. You'll also find pockets like this in Castle Rock. But if this is something that you guys are really, really actively looking for, then, we are going to want to stay as far west as possible in our home search. Jumping in here real quick to remind you guys that we are licensed real estate brokers. And as much as we like making these videos, we love more to help you with your real estate needs. So there's a number popping up on the screen right now. If you give us a phone call, text message, or email, we are the guys that answer the phone, and we would love to help you out. Jump on a Zoom call with you and go over any more of these details that you would like in relation to your specific situation. So that's it. Let's get right back to the content. So now that we talked west side, let's talk east side. So jumping over here to the map, east is going to be considered obviously anything east of Denver, okay? When we really say east in Colorado, we're really talking about this Aurora and eastern Colorado. Now, as you guys can see, there is a ton of room over here to grow. Let me just zoom out here a little bit. So what you guys are going to find, we've got our Denver metro area. I think this is the furthest we've ever zoomed out when we've been doing all these map tours. If we're looking at the Denver metro area, it's going to be right about here. All right. All of this is completely just open plains. Like there's nothing out here. There's a long ways to get from Denver out to Kansas, and there's almost no developments that are happening out here. You'll see some little neighborhoods, a lot of farmland and stuff like that. But this is one important thing, because when people say that Colorado's full or, we're growing too fast, there is so much undeveloped space in Colorado. I really still feel like we are just at the infancy of what our growth really could be. It's just our Denver metro area is so tight, it really hasn't had the reason to expand up until now, as we're having more and more continued growth into Colorado. But where could we go that is east side, not Kansas? Well, right now where that's going to be is out here in eastern Aurora. Now, you guys have heard us talk about Southeast Aurora quite a bit. We absolutely love that area. Between the reservoir and all the new build homes that are out there, there's just so many good options for a lot of people. But if we go up just a little bit north, this is where we're going to find new communities like Aurora Highlands. You've got Painted Prairie up here as well. This is also on our way out to Denver International Airport, which you see up here. Now, we've got a lot of people where they work remotely, but they do need access to the airport quite regularly. A lot of those guys do end up on this East Aurora side because, again, you've got new build homes. If you're down in the South Aurora section down here, you've got Cherry Creek School District, which is one of our most desirable school districts, all within very close proximity to the airport. So what is this going to mean for you? This means in those new developments, you're going to find much, much more affordability. Now, you are further away from the mountains, but they are the Rocky Mountains, so you can still see them even from the eastern side of the Denver metro area. But for people that are coming here where airport proximity is a big deal, affordability is a big deal, where you want a new home and you want to be on the forefront of these developments so that you can ride the equity and ride the appreciation in the area, the east side is going to be a really good option for you. Now, before we move on, guys, I want to go into north versus south. Now, there definitely is a little bit of a north versus south battle that you'll see over here. Again, you've got Denver in the center, and then on the north side, you're going to have your Fort Collins. Way, way, way up here, you're going to have your Fort Collins, your Loveland, and Boulder. All right. And then a lot of stuff in between here. Windsor, Johnstown, Firestone is another big one. What you're going to find up here is a lot of new builds, a lot of new developments. Now, Fort Collins is continuing to grow. You've got the college up there. So there's a lot older stuff up in Fort Collins, but man, they are growing and still building. And now Fort Collins, I think that's one of the biggest up and comers that we have in the state, because they do have such a good foundation of development over there, and they're only continuing to get bigger. Now, the one thing I will say about Fort Collins is that you're about 2 hours away from Denver. So it's a drive. So if you're regularly expecting to come to Denver with any amount of consistent frequency, that's going to be a bit of a stretch for you. Boulder, on the other hand, Boulder is a really common one where people will work in Denver and they'll live in Boulder. And as you can see from the drone footage we're showing you right now, it is just absolutely stunning out there. The homes are amazing. The mountains are amazing. The college is fun. It's a great town. There's really, really good restaurants and dining out there. The Pearl Street Mall is always really, really fun to go to. Even if you don't live up there, it's a blast to go and explore with the family on the weekends. Now, I would say also similar to East Aurora, as I just mentioned, here in this Firestone area, here in Erie, there's a lot of affordability going on up there because, again, this used to be just a lot of farmland. Now they are growing and developing like crazy, and they're coming out with some really, really cool communities, which we're going to feature coming up on the channel. So again, if you're looking at opportunity for new builds and to be able to ride appreciation, Northern Colorado might be a really good fit for you. And then, of course, if we go ahead and scroll down here to Southern Colorado, this is where we've done the majority of our content. We're big fans of Castle Rock and Castle Pines because in those areas, guys, let's come over here to Google Earth. In those areas of Castle Rock and Castle Pines, again, you just get a lot of the Colorado scenery that, we know you guys know and love. So if we zoom in here, you're going to see that there's just more bluffs and hills and golf courses. And there's just a lot more of the Colorado type of terrain we know you guys know and love that you're not necessarily going to have in a Parker if you go a little bit more east. You guys can see here just all these trails and legit mountain biking here in Castle Rock. So we love this area. There's also a lot of new builds that are happening down here. This tends to be a very, very popular place that a lot of you guys do end up because it checks almost all the boxes that a lot of people have when they're coming out to the state. So now that you guys have a lay of the land in terms of how the state is broken up into north, south, east, and west, the next most important thing I want to dive into with you guys are our major highways so that you guys can get just an understanding of what is going to take you where, what has the worst traffic, and a lot of times this might determine where you end up actually purchasing if proximity to the airport or proximity to the mountains or anything else like that is an important part of the decision regarding your move. All right, so let's check this out. So the first thing that I'm going to point out to you guys, this is going to be the most popular highway, the most referred to one that you're going to see, and that is I-25. So I-25, I'll try and make my lines as straight as possible, is going to cut up right in the middle of the state. This essentially is going to divide the state into east and west portions. Okay, so I-25 runs north and south. And honestly, the traffic here, guys, is never really that bad. About 20 years ago, they did a huge expansion on I-25 as they were projecting the future growth that we were about to have, and it really did help. Naturally, you might have a little bit more congestion here around Denver, right around here in the Denver Tech Center, which is just a big kind of corporate hub that you'll see here. You're going to get some congestion here, but I've gone downtown 5 o'clock on Friday nights plenty of times, and unless there's an actual accident or something, traffic tends to flow pretty good. That's our primary north-south. Now up here, let's talk east and west. This is going to be I-70. I-70 is our primary east and west highway that's going to be on the northern side of town. This highway is also going to be the primary one that takes you all the way out. It actually branches down here that takes you all the way out into the mountains and all of the ski resorts. So if you guys are looking to go to Breckenridge or Vail or any of those places, Copper Mountain, any of those, you're just going to jump on I-70 and that's going to take you all the way out. I-70 is also going to take you to the airport, which is up here. I-70 does have a lot of traffic. Okay, during your typical rush hour, morning rush hour, evening rush hour, this is all going to get pretty congested between Aurora, and I'll just draw this. This is traffic between Aurora and then the outskirts of Denver. This all gets pretty messy. So if you could avoid this part of the highway during the morning rush hour, evening rush hour, definitely advised. But they are doing a massive I-70 expansion because, again, Colorado is just really good about the infrastructure, I feel personally, and they're doing some cool overpasses and really doing a lot of build out on I-70, similar to what they did on I-25 years ago. And it is much needed. It's going to help a ton. It already is helping a ton. Our next most important highway, in my opinion, is going to be 470. So 470 is this highway. On the east side, it runs north and south. And then as we get to the bottom here, it's going to cut across the middle. And then it's going to loop back up again here on the west-hand side. You're often going to hear this referred to as the 470 loop. Okay, this is exactly what they're talking about, this horseshoe here. This is a toll road over here on the east side. I'll draw a little nice dollar sign. It is free over here on the west side once you cross over I-25. This is the boundary for what's toll road and what's free. What you're going to be using 470 for the most is if you live anywhere on the south side, like a Highlands Ranch, a Castle Pines or Castle Rock, a Parker, any of these places, you're jumping on 470, you're taking that all the way up to the airport. And trust me, it's worth the $5 or $6 it costs to get up there. You're also using this if you want to go up to the mountains, because if you come over here on the west side, this connects with I-70, and then you're going to take that out to the mountains. So this is a very, very useful highway. I use it almost every single day because it is a toll road over here. You're going to have almost zero traffic over here ever. If it's over on this side, you are going to have more traffic over here because it's free and you get a lot of the Littleton traffic, the Highlands Ranch traffic here. But what I do like about the highway is that you also have HOV access over here or a toll lane. So if you just want to avoid all the traffic, you pay the $2, you take the toll lane, and you're getting where you need to go much, much, much faster. So now let's talk living in the city versus living in the suburbs. One thing that you guys should know about Denver is that kind of everything's called Denver over here. It's not like everybody is literally moving into downtown Denver or even the city of Denver when they say they're moving to Denver. Even our channel being called Living in Denver, we talk sometimes about downtown Denver and the surrounding areas, but that's just really what people call the entire Denver metro area. Let's dive in a little bit about what sort of the city living is like versus what we would call the urban suburban areas, the neighborhoods within Denver city limits compared to some of the suburban areas outside of there. So here we are, Google Earth in downtown Denver. Gorgeous view. And Denver, in my opinion, guys, it's one of those cities where our downtown, we call it, small enough but big enough. It definitely has all the qualities that you're looking for in a big city and really just not a whole lot of the downsides that you would typically find in a big city. What you're going to find here is that in our downtown area, which is where I'm at right now, you're not going to have a whole lot of single family homes. You're going to have them throughout there. A lot of it is townhomes. A lot of it is condos, not even townhomes as much as it is condos. You're going to have some of these big buildings here that are condos. A lot of these are condos. This one right here. Let me spin this around a little bit. This is a very popular condo development here. We've got another really popular condo development here. Some of these are hotels. Some of these are massive condos. The type of city that Denver is, most people just aren't living down here, right? It's a very specific sort of lifestyle or job or, goals that you have here in Colorado is going to put you here in downtown. Where we do see most people land, however, for people that are looking to end up the actual city of Denver. Let me zoom out here, reorient to north-south here. Hold on one sec. There we go. All right. Are these surrounding neighborhoods that we're going to have here, for example, zooming in here, we've got Wash Park. These homes out here, guys, they're absolutely just stunning Denver homes. A lot of these were built in the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, 1970s. Most of these have been updated, and there are some just absolutely stunning ones. And what you're going to find here is that a lot of these big neighborhoods, they're all based around a park. Denver has an insane amount of parks in them. Almost anywhere you turn is going to be a park. Between here being Wash Park, we've got Cherry Creek and Cherry Creek North here, which a lot of high-end homes, a lot of high-end single-family homes and townhomes and condos as well. And then scrolling up further, we've got Congress Park and Cheeseman Park. Coming up here even further, we've got City Park, where we've got the Denver Zoo, more huge lakes that we've got here. And then just over to the east from City Park, we have South Park Hill. Again, you guys can see just there's so many trees. That's one of my favorite things about these Denver neighborhoods. They're all very tree lined, and these are the areas that we would call urban suburban. It feels urban because you've got the little shopping centers, you're close to these big city parks that we have here, but at the same time you're in nice quiet tree lined streets, and it has almost that suburban feel to it. Now, if we're looking for straight up suburban, that's where we find the majority of people that are moving here to Colorado, what they're looking for. And those areas are really going to be in any of these surrounding Denver metro cities. So for example, Littleton, Highlands Ranch, Parker, Castle Pines, Castle Rock, Aurora, Broomfield, Superior, Louisville, Lafayette, Boulder. The majority of people that we have moving out here do end up living in these areas because, again, if we're looking at even the urban suburban homes in Denver, with a lot of them just being maybe slightly older, even though they've been updated, they are going to have smaller lots. They're not going to have those traditional community centers that a lot of people know and love in a traditional suburban master plan community. Again, if you're looking for just classic Denver charm, man, those urban suburban areas are going to be great. If you're looking for wide open spaces, trails, community centers, pools, clubhouses, things like that, then honestly, any of these surrounding Denver metro cities are going to be phenomenal for you. Honestly, you can't go wrong on any of those that you pick. Now let's talk Denver weather. This is always a point that comes up with everyone that is moving here, and there's a lot of misconceptions. As you saw from the map before, we're not in the mountains, right? It's not just this big mountainy, kind of snowy, wintry state all year long like some people tend to think it is. In fact, Denver is very, very, very mild. And if Denver is known for one thing, it is just the sheer amount of sunshine that we have here on a daily basis. And people are always very surprised to see how fast the snow melts and how temperate the weather actually is. So I pulled up some information here just so that you don't think I'm just blowing smoke at you. Let me get my face out of the way. So this is giving you guys an average of the highs that we have here for every month. So you guys can see here that even in January, the average high is 49. So it does get cold in January, February, even March. Right now we are in April. We've got an average of 65. It's going to get to our hottest in July with an average of 92 degrees. It does get hot here. We do have a real summer, but guys, without any of the humidity that you're going to have in a lot of other places, Colorado is just so dry. It could be 102 degrees and it's just going to still feel it's hot, but it's not, you're not like sweating, out of your shirt the second you leave your home, like in a lot of other places. And then we're going to stay honestly fairly warm. So even here through October, we're an average of 68 degrees, November average of 57. What I tell people is that winter feels like it's going to start around Halloween time. So let's call it October 31st, November 1st. It's going to be real winter from November, December, January, February, and even through March. Those are pretty cold months, with the exception of maybe March. But then there's also times in November where you're playing football outside on Thanksgiving and it's hot. There might be some Thanksgivings where it snows. It gets real kind of iffy right after November 1st in terms of whether it's cold or warm. I tell people that I feel like real winter starts usually around January. So January, February, March, call those the cold months. But outside of that, guys, it's so tolerable in Colorado. And again, whenever it does snow, we'll get some big snowstorms, probably I'd say maybe 4 to 5 over the course of the entire winter of what I would say is significant snowfall. Maybe half a day that you're not going out, or maybe a day at the most. But then roads are clear, roads are just wet after that. Again, the sun comes out, it heats everything up. Man, it's just nice, right? So you're not going to need a giant snow plow or anything like that. A snow blower is helpful. A snow shovel works just fine depending on the size of your driveway, but no real special accommodations you need to make for the weather or the snow outside of having a 4-wheel drive vehicle or all-wheel drive vehicle. That is a good idea when you come out here. And also understanding that once you do cross into those mountain territories, like I showed you at the very beginning of this video, once you cross over even into the foothills just a little bit, that elevation goes up, so you're in a little bit higher altitude, which means things get a little bit colder, snow sticks around us a little bit longer, and a lot of those properties do just have much bigger driveways. So you might actually need something like an ATV with a plow, or pay someone to come and do it. And by ATV and plow, I just mean literally like something little that you can push. But a snowblower works just fine up there as well. It's pretty all case dependent. Guys, this is really Colorado in a nutshell. So as a new person moving to Colorado, really I hope you got some value out of this video, because just really learning out how the states are laid out, where the cities are in relation to the downtown, the major highways, whether people are moving to downtown Denver or the surrounding areas, all matters. And I hope this gave you a little bit of insight. But what's going to give you even more insight is if you call the number that's popping up on the screen below, or give us a text message or phone call or email. We would love to help you with your real estate needs. And guys, we will jump on a Zoom call with you. We'll talk about your specific situation. And even if you're a year out or 2 years out, it's kind of nice just to have some local boots on the ground to be able to brainstorm some ideas, get some insights, and get our 2 cents on what areas might work for you. Really just some things that you can maybe be preparing for leading up to your trip out to Colorado. But I appreciate you guys watching. Take care. We'll see you in the next video.